G'day everyone, it's Jason from Coastal Asbestos on the Gold Coast, the Gold Coast #1 asbestos removal company. It's Asbestos Awareness Month, and today we're going to talk about asbestos, funnily enough. We're going to talk about what it is, why it's in your house, and how it got there. So, just to go back to the start, asbestos is a natural occurring mineral. And there's three main types that we use in the building industry. There's white asbestos, which is chrysotile, brown asbestos, which is amosite, and then blue asbestos, which is chrysotile. Now, all three of those asbestoses were commonly used in building construction, but mainly chrysotile, because it was the one that they could weave it into a fabric, believe it or not. It was soft, it was durable. Now, the reason why asbestos was put into anything is because it's basically indestructible. It doesn't rot, it doesn't dissolve in water, it's stronger than steel, it can be woven into a fabric, it's chemically inert, it's heat resistant, so it's a really good insulator. Did I say electrical? It doesn't conduct electricity. So when they found this stuff, they couldn't believe it. And they thought this will be amazing for the building industry and for all of industry as well. So they wove it into ropes that they could wrap around hot pipes back in steam engines and stuff like that. So it's been used since the Roman times, asbestos. There's two types of asbestos, basically. It's classified now as there's friable and non-friable. The definition is that if it's friable, it can be reduced to powder with hand pressure. So the stuff that's in your house is predominantly non-friable. And that is made up of sand, cement, water, and asbestos shards. Now those shards, when get mixed, break into fibres. So, and what it sort of resembles is, for want of a better way of explaining to it, it's more like a chocolate chip cookie than a solid block of asbestos. When they mix the asbestos fibres in the sand, cement and water, they sort of interlocked in together and gave it flexibility and strength so that they could work with it, which made asbestos amazing because it was only 6 millimeters thick, whatever the equivalent is back in the day. So it could be transported easily. It could be easily lifted around by men and machines. It was easy to cut. It had absolutely everything that the building industry required. And in Australia in the 40s is when it really took off. After the war, there was a big rebuilding of Australia. So that's why asbestos has ended up in your home. So the board, what they call the bonded stuff, could be made for roofing, for wall cladding, ceiling linings, even the flooring. Some timber houses, when it comes to the bathrooms, they will have 16 millimeter solid asbestos sheet. That stuff's really, really heavy, and like all other asbestos sheeting, it will last forever. But when doing bathroom renovations, it's got to come out, obviously. Asbestos can also be found in the underlay for carpets, and it got there because the asbestos, when it came out of the mine and the processing plant, was put into Hessian sacks. And back in those days, they recycled those Hessian sacks, and they contained asbestos fibres from cutting asbestos in them. So that's how it got into the flooring. There's some more stuff. A lot of lino can have like a green paper backing, and that can be pure asbestos. Also too, in homes, there can be asbestos tiles. They call them vinyl asbestos tiles. They're about that big by that big, and they're just in a square pattern. They're really thin, about 6 millimeters. About 6 millimeters. So this is why asbestos is in your house, because it was so indestructible, so flexible, so versatile, and that's why it got in there. So the other side of the equation is the friable part. So Some asbestos board products, especially one called low density board or LDB, that was reclassified this year as a friable product. It doesn't reduce the powder with hand pressure, but you can crush it and it just goes all crumbly. So, and that was a mixture of water, plaster of Paris, and asbestos. So you've got to be really careful for that. And this is the problem. You know, there used to be an ad back in the when we were kids, oils ain't oils, and asbestos ain't asbestos. And it's so important that you get someone who is qualified, knowledgeable, to identify the asbestos for you. And as we all know, the only way to know 100% is to get it checked. So let's go through the areas in your home that may have asbestos, starting from the top of the house. It could be your roof. You could have a dichromatic tile roof, which is a metal press sheet roof that has all little bits of sand on it. That glue that holds that sand to those dichromatic tiles has asbestos in it. It can have asbestos in it. Asbestos sheeting roof. So there's the Super 6 and standard. The standard looks a really lot like corrugated iron from a distance, but the Super 6 is really pronounced. Then we get down to a vent pipe. So every house that has sewer has a vent pipe. This pipe is probably about that thick, and it's grey and it's asbestos. When you hit it, it actually sounds like it's metal because of the way it's been manufactured, but believe me, it's asbestos. It's got asbestos in it. Then we get down to your gable ends. If you have a peaked roof and there's a sheet in the front, that will be asbestos on older homes. Then we get to your eaves, the eaves lining, same thing, can be asbestos. While we're still outside, we'll get down to your walls on the outside of your house, they can be asbestos. The windows on your house, if you've got older houses with putty holding the glass panes in, that putty, if it's original, may have asbestos in it. While we're outside still, down around where your drains go into the ground, you'll see like a half circle round collar. That collar is used as formwork, that can be asbestos. Okay, still outside, if you're keeping up with me, is the fences. Your fences can be asbestos as well. And there's about 3 or 4 different ways they made asbestos fences with 3 different products predominantly. But either one, they can be the same. Also on the roof, you can have asbestos shingles, and they look quite good, but they can be asbestos as well. So now we're at the front door of the house. So going into the front door of your house, the wall linings can be asbestos. The ceiling linings can be asbestos. And as we spoke before, the lino on the floor could have an asbestos backing. The vinyl asbestos tiles can have asbestos mixed in with them. Then you can have compressed flooring that can have asbestos in it. Even under the kitchen sink, sometimes they put like a deadening pad. It's like a black square, it's probably about that big. That black mastic in that can have asbestos. If you have a really old hot water service heater, they have like little, it looks like little cloth covers on some of the wiring and stuff like that to shed it from heat. That can be asbestos. Also in your meter box on the outside of the house, the old meters could have the old fuses. Now some of those fuses have little asbestos flash guards in them. And the backing board, the black, it's called zamolite, that can be asbestos. So pretty much even the switches. So we've all heard of Bakelite, that's the old brown, it was like the first plastics. Those Bakelite switches have asbestos in them. So all these things are okay as long as they're properly maintained and we don't mess with them. And we'll talk about that in the next video of what to do and what not to do with asbestos. If you like this video, there's many more like it over to our YouTube channel. And thanks for joining us today for day, I think it's 5 Asbestos Awareness Month. So that's bye from me today.